Hi, I'm Amy Hannon, and nothing thrills me more than people and food. I'm a preacher's wife, a mom of 3, and I own my own specialty kitchen store. I've kept an open door and a well-stocked fridge, which means I have fed a lot of mouths over the years. So welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi there, I'm so glad you're with me today. This is Cooking Today, and we're gonna make brownies, and everybody should have a good homemade brownie recipe if you ask me. I think there are a lot of people who like pies and cakes and cookies and all kinds of things, but I really do think that everybody loves a brownie, at least at my house anyway. And so we're gonna make homemade brownies, and I'm gonna show you how to make homemade cream cheese frosting. And just for fun, we're gonna give it a little flavor, show you a couple of extra fun toppings that you can put on there to kind of make them kind of amped up and fun. We're gonna have lots of like bowl games and watch parties, and all those award ceremonies come up this time of year, and so we need to be eating brownies, and you're gonna be needing to take a dessert to some of those little parties. And so that's what we're gonna be making today. And we're gonna get going with butter, of course. Here we go. So I don't know if you've ever made a homemade brownie or not, but this is the easiest recipe, really it is. It is not a whole lot more work than really just doing a box, because you still have to measure and stir and whisk and all that good stuff when you do a box. But I'm just gonna show you how quick and simple it is, and these are to die for. You're gonna love them. So what I've got here is a heavy bottomed pot, and I'm just gonna add 2 sticks of butter. And I use unsalted butter because we're gonna add salt later to the recipe, and so you wanna be able to judge the salt and not add it in there when you didn't want it. So I'm just gonna put this on the stove and let it melt for just a little time, and you don't want it to burn, so I'm just turning it down really low, and I'm just gonna check on it from time to time. And a heavy bottom pot is a really important thing so that your butter doesn't scald and turn brown, because that's not what we're going for here today. Okay, so we're gonna crack eggs, and we wanna whisk these together just a little bit before we put them into the brownie mix. And I know there's a whole lot of, there are many theories on how to crack an egg. I took a cooking school in Savannah several years ago, and he taught us, the chef there, taught us just to crack it on a hard surface flat like that instead of on the side of your bowl, because you know what happens when you crack it on a sharp surface. All those little bits get in there, and then you have to fish them out. And so we're gonna just crack it like that and open it up and crack it again and get going on that one. And I like to use extra large, cage-free are my favorite eggs. They have really pretty color. You can use large or extra large, really. Okay, so 4 eggs. Let me rinse my fingers real quick, and we're just gonna whisk these so that they're combined really well before we add them into our butter and our dry ingredients. So I'm just gonna give this a little combination here. Here's another thing I learned. This is kind of fun in Savannah. If you just whisk and you go in circles, you know what you're doing? You're just chasing your egg yolks. They're just going around in a circle because you're making a whirlwind. So you really need to go back and forth. So watch this. We have our fancy little camera over here that you can see down in here. But see, if you go back and forth, you're really getting a little mix in. If I'm going in a circle, I'm just chasing my eggs, and we don't want to do that. So you can go back and forth, or you can make like a figure 8 and get your eggs mixed up. Look at that. So we're gonna set these aside. Whoop, I just dripped in my bowl. Okay, now we're gonna put together our dry ingredients. And this is super, super easy. And you have probably most of this in your kitchen and in your pantry already. And so you should be able to, on the fly, if you're just having friends over or you just need to take a quick little recipe somewhere, you could probably make this anytime, because there's nothing special that you probably don't already have. So what I've already got going in here is 2/3 of a cup of cocoa powder. And I went ahead and pre-measured it, because cocoa powder is kind of like cornstarch. It kind of hops out and makes a mess. So just measure it real carefully. And then I'm gonna add, we're gonna add our sugar actually to our butter. So I don't want to do that yet. So we're gonna add a cup of flour to this. cocoa powder. Okay, just a cup. And then this is espresso powder, and I actually got this from Williams-Sonoma. It is kind of a specialty thing, so that whole thing I said about how you probably have this in your pantry, you probably don't have espresso powder, but you should. You can order it, and this is kind of an optional deal. You don't have to add this, but it's basically kind of like a coffee-flavored powder, and it just makes your chocolate flavor so much more rich, and so that's why this is a good thing to have. You don't have to add it, but it's awful good. So I'm just adding a teaspoon. And I almost always use espresso powder in my chocolate recipes. Like I said, it just changes the flavor a little bit. It's good stuff. And then I'm using my 1/4 teaspoon, and we're doing baking soda and baking powder. These are both leaveners, which means that it's gonna help your brownies rise. So 1/4 teaspoon of each of those. And I also love, this is my other little secret thing I usually put in most of my chocolate recipes, is just a tiny hint of cinnamon. I just love, 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 love the flavor that cinnamon gives chocolate. So just a little tiny bit. And it's not gonna be cinnamony, so don't be scared. You're just gonna get a little hit of it, and you're probably not even gonna be able to put your finger on it, like what it is. And then I'm gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, because we always like a little salt with our sweet. Just brings out the flavor. And this is why you're not using salted butter right here. Let me say this, if you only have salted butter, then I would cut the salt either completely out or maybe back by just a little. So that's your little tip for right now. And so when we come back, we're gonna whisk all of this together. We're gonna check on our butter, stir it all up, and we're gonna put it in our oven, and I'm gonna show you a really great tip on how to lift the whole pan of brownies out so that you can ice it and frost it and put it on a platter and make it really, really pretty. It's an easy trick. I'll show you in just a minute. So we'll be doing that when we get back. This is Cooking Today. Hi, if you're just joining us, we're making homemade brownies today with cream cheese frosting, and we're gonna make a couple of really fun variations for your holiday parties and your game parties and watch parties and all the Oscars and all those good things. Brownies are always a good choice. So what we've got now is we've already mixed our dry ingredients and we whisk our eggs, and now we've got our melted butter, and this full recipe is on our Facebook page, so you can get it all there. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our eggs to our melted butter, and then we need to add in 2 cups of sugar, and we're just gonna whisk this together with a little bit of vanilla. Okay, there's 1 cup and 2 cups. And then we're gonna put in our splashes of vanilla, just 2 teaspoons. And we have so many fun things we're using today from Unimaze. This good vanilla, these great stainless steel measuring cups and spoons, and this dough whisk that is super fun and it's new. It's a big seller for us. You're gonna think this is really fun, this flat whisk. So we're just gonna stir this up, butter, sugar, vanilla, eggs, till it's combined really, really, really well. And then stir in the dry ingredients that we measured earlier. And that's pretty good. And then here we go with our dry. Oh my goodness, it already smells good. As soon as that hits that liquid, it's awesome. And we're gonna stir this. Now the reason I'm using this flat whisk, and you could use any other whisk, because you just don't want to over stir a brownie batter. You don't want it to be smooth like a cake batter. You want it to be a little bit chunky, and it'll also keep it from being too chewy, because you don't want to get that gluten going too much. You want it to be a little bit chewy. So we're just gonna give this a good whisk. See, I told y'all that cocoa powder jumps out. Did you see? That's why I've got my apron on today. Okay, so just till it comes together like that, okay? And now we're gonna line our cookie sheet, our baking pan, with foil and show y'all this fun trick, okay? I'm gonna set that aside, as long as that's not in the way. We just have a regular 9x13 pan, and our oven is preheated to 350. It's been going all morning. So what we're gonna do is just line this pan with foil, and then that way you can lift your whole entire thing of brownies out, like a big log of brownies, and you can ice them and cut them and they're pretty instead of having to, you know how you have to dig that corner one out and then it ruins the corner? I mean, you end up having to eat it, which is not too bad of a thing. But this way you can lift this whole entire brick of brownies right out of your pan. So I just lined it with foil and tuck them down into the corners really good because I poked my finger through that. You probably can't see that. It's fine. Okay, so we just want to get that tucked into the corners really good because you still want it to be a nice square. And then I'm gonna spray it with this Baker's Joy, which is one of my very favorite baking products. It's cooking spray that actually has flour in it, and so it makes everything lift out like a piece of cake. No pun intended. Okay, so we've got this going, and look, this is for a frosting. We're doing that in a minute. We've got our brownie batter, and this is heavy, this big old pot. So we're just gonna scoop it out and put it in our pan and spread it out. Now, if you wanted to half this recipe, which I really don't know why you would, because a 9 by 13 of brownies is always better than an 8 by 8, don't you think? But you can, if you need to make an 8 by 8 of brownies instead. Oh my word, I need an assistant. Help me hold this dude. Okay, but you can half it if you need to half it for a smaller recipe. And then just give it a little spread and they'll bake out and be beautiful. And these are gonna cook for about probably 25 to 30 minutes. You don't ever want to overbake brownies. You want to always make sure that you're getting them out and watching them really good. Do the toothpick test. You know the toothpick test? Poke down into the middle. All right. And it needs to come out dry, but it can kind of be a teeny weeny bit moist. You don't want it to be too dry. Okay, there we go. So it's not very pretty right now, but we're going to stick this in the oven, and when we come back, we're going to make our cream cheese frosting. And I'm going to show you how that we're going to ice these beauties and top them with some really fun toppings. And we will be right back. This is Cooking Today. We're ready to make our cream cheese frosting, and what we've already got going here is the cream cheese and the butter that both need to be at room temperature, and I've just got that beating until it's a little bit smooth. And you may need to stick your flat spatula or your bowl scraper down in here and kind of get that off of the bottom. And to this is so easy. Y'all are going to be so glad you know how to make homemade frosting. We're just going to do it on low, okay, super low, and we're going to add a cup of powdered sugar. I'm eyeballing this. Y'all can measure if you need to. And this is going to make our little baking pillow of like our little cloud of powdered sugar. And we're just going to turn that up and let that kind of combine. And then every time that you add the powdered sugar, you just need to turn it back down to low. Otherwise, it will just go all over you. And I've done that. Okay, I'm going to turn it back up a little bit. It's kind of incorporating. And now we need to add a little bit of the liquid since we've kind of got this going. So we're going to add a couple tablespoons of milk, a couple of teaspoons of good vanilla. Okay, and so now we've got that nice and smooth. We can put in a little pinch of salt. You know we like salt with our sweet. And then I'm going to turn that back down to low, and we're going to add the rest of our powdered sugar. It's usually 3 or 4 cups. This is a 1-pound box of powdered sugar. You can just use that. And we're going to do it till it combines. And as you go, you can add a little bit more milk, a little bit more powdered sugar, kind of back and forth until you get the consistency that you want. It needs to be able to spread. It doesn't need to look like Play-Doh. So if it looks like Play-Doh, you need to add more milk. And there's our last little bit of powdered sugar. And I'm going to add this milk. You can hear it. Can you hear the mixer? It's going to tell you a lot about how it's coming together. And add a little bit more milk so it's a good, you hear it lighten up? It'll tell you a lot. Okay. I'm going to give it one good quick beat. Oh my gosh, you could eat this with a spoon. It's so good. Who wants the beater? I have a crew here. Who's going to get it? They're going to have to draw straws. So we have our frosting made. It smells fantastic, and we're going to put it on our cooled brownies when we come back. Hi, welcome back. We're making brownies today. We've made homemade brownies, and a delicious homemade cream cheese frosting. If you haven't ever learned how to do either of these, they're the best basics in the world that you're going to be so tickled that you know how to make. Of course, brownies everyone loves, and something that's very important for you to know, a little peek under the hood at my household, we have warred for years over cake brownies and fudgy brownies, and I bet your household is very similar to that. Someone that I might be married to, but I'm not going to name his name, loves cakey brownies, and the rest of us like the fudgy ones. This recipe, y'all, has brought peace to the nations. We are at peace. It is so good. They're just enough cakey and just enough fudgy that everybody's really happy, so you really do need to go and try these. So remember when we said we were going to line this pan with foil? Well, this is the reason why. Because you can very carefully, let's all say our prayers, cross our fingers, after these have cooled. Oh, I'm nervous, but here we go. Let's hope these don't break. Let's go this way. You can lift these up from the seam in the middle. Oh, remember that time I poked my hole through that foil? I'm about to pay for that right now. Here we go. Okay. Ta-da! Oh, I lost a little bit. That's okay. Okay, so we can just lift that whole block right up and out and onto this cutting board, see? And then you don't have to dig around in those corners to get them out. And then, because we sprayed this foil, this just slides right out both sides. And you can just throw that away, and you have some really nice, pretty brownies, except for that corner that I sort of botched because I poked my finger through the foil. You don't want to do that. Okay, look. Doesn't that look good? If y'all weren't watching, I would lick my fingers right now. Okay, these are cooled. We've made this frosting, this cream cheese frosting, and you want to be sure that it's just thin enough to spread. And so we've got just enough milk in here. It's kind of heavy. I'm going to lift this up and get this off of here. Okay, so we have this nice spreadable cream cheese frosting. Now, if you wanted to add a little peppermint flavor or extract to this frosting as you were making it, you would have these delicious peppermint cream cheese brownies, which I really, really love. I always love peppermint or mint and chocolate, even when it's not the holidays. I know it kind of comes on strong at Christmas, but I sure love it all year long. Okay, so you could add a little peppermint to that, and then do these Andes mints, or even those green and brown, you know, the green and brown chocolate candies. You could break those up and put them on there, and have cream cheese, peppermint cream cheese brownies. I need to use my little flat tool, but this will be good for now. And you could also just leave these plain. You don't even have to frost these if you don't want to. You could just have regular old plain, yummy brownies. And if you like these brownies even extra over the top sweet and chocolatey, you could forego mints, and you could actually do like chopped up candy bars or Reese's cups, which is actually what I'm going to do for a whole crowd of teenagers that are coming over to my house tonight. This is their pan of brownies. And so I am just using my flat tool and going all the way to the corners. There's my bad corner. Oh, it's sad. It's okay. It'll eat. Okay, so covered this all the way around. Oh my word, it smells so good. And then I'm actually going to do, you know what? I'm going to do peppermint on my side. I'll just cut it off. They won't know. So I'm going to do these chopped up. These are just the little Reese's cups, peanut butter cups, that I have just cut into quarters. Look at those. Oh my goodness, this is over the top, isn't it? And if you're taking these to like a watch party for your favorite team, you could choose sprinkles if you wanted to and make them all fun and like do, I don't know, blue and blue, or I don't really even know a lot of teams other than the Razorbacks, right? So you can do red and white if you want to. So I'm going to do these on this side for the teenagers. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make my side. Look, I'm going to do these little mints. These are those little peppermint white chocolate pieces. You can get them around the holidays, but I stockpile them because I really love them. And so you're not going to be able to get them for much longer. So get a few bags. And I just pack them down in there, and they're so pretty and easy. Look at that. Isn't that so fun? And then all I'm going to do is just take a big knife and just cut my squares. And the nice thing is about the way we've cut this out of the pan, we've popped that out of the pan, is that we can kind of make our slices and we don't have to present the whole thing in the pan. We can kind of cut what we want and put it on a platter and it's all good to go. So I'm gonna cut these. Ooh, I should have made a better little divider line. I'm gonna get a little peppermint in my chocolate, but there's nothing wrong with that, right? And we're gonna cut these. Oh my goodness. Make sure they're nice and cool before you start cutting the brownies. And this icing will actually firm up a little bit. You can store these on a platter in the refrigerator till it's time to serve. You can also bake this whole entire brownie without the icing, wrap it really, really well, really tightly, and freeze that. And another great tip on these is that you can actually bake these brownies. Don't frost them or don't put anything on the top, and you can actually freeze the entire block of brownies, wrap it really, really well, and then just thaw them at room temperature overnight in the fridge when it's time to ice them and put the toppings on them whenever you're ready. So it's a lot of really good convenience cooking, so you're sure to have a good snack when you've got company or need a bite of sweet at night. These are delicious. I'm about to lick my fingers when y'all are away, and I hope you'll make these at home. They are so good. Oh my word. Homemade brownies and cream cheese frosting. This is Cooking Today.
Groceries provided by Harps, Hometown Fresh. Iced tea brought to you by Lipton. Kitchenware is provided by Una Mays.